Welcome to Sormeg's Writers Cafe, where we share the real life. And talk today, where we share the real writer's life over a cup of spaceship and sprinkled with laughter and wisdom. LaShaunda's tongue is not working today, but I'm not going to even edit it. We going on. My name is LaShaunda Hoffman, and I'm your host for today. This episode's sponsor is Building Your Readership by LaShaunda Hoffman, a new Kindle Vella book. Are you ready to become a social butterfly? Inside this new episode book, LaShaunda shares 10 ways to start building your readership, increase your book sales as you learn how to be consistent with your book promotion. Each episode includes action steps to implement to help you become a social butterfly. Check the show notes for the link. Today, sitting at the cafe with me is Necci Cooper and Tyneise Seaborough. Welcome, 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 ladies.
Thank you.
Hello. Hello. Thank you.
Well,
Good to be here.
Oh, great. Thank you for being here. I'm so excited to hear about you all and your writing journey. So we are going to start with Miss Necci. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, why you write, and share a little bit about your book.
Okay. I am Necci Heaton Cooper, and I am a poet. I write in the Christian genre. I currently have 2 books, one a book of poetry and another book of prayers, and I have one that's coming out. Actually, I'm part of an anthology to show other authors the pitfalls and how to do their books right. I currently live in Michigan, and I've been writing for about almost 20 years now. And it started when I renewed my relationship with the Lord. And that's how it all came about, because, to be honest, I really never thought I was going to be an author. But writing has been my passion for a long time. I just really didn't write poetry or prayers, and the Lord changed that. So I'm excited. I have more works on the horizon. I also have a business. It's called One Angel Creatives, and I do framed, handcrafted poetry. And that's something that I'm currently working on to build and expand.
Do you feel comfortable reading us a poem then?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I was asking, do you feel comfortable reading us a poem?
Oh, I most certainly will read you a poem. This one is from my first book. And my first book is called My Heart's the Pen of a Ready Writer, a compilation of poetries, whispers for the inner soul. But this particular book I wrote under a pen name, and the pen name is Lynn Nelson Griggs. And this one is called God, I Have Some Questions. It goes like this. God, I have some questions I would like to ask you. I don't expect all the answers, but please, can you give me a few? I would like to know why you still love me when I do so many things wrong, and answer my prayers so quickly, never taking very long. I would like to know why you give me your mercy and grace when I am sometimes sinning all over the place. Tell me, why do you forgive my offenses against the heart of man? I need to know the answer. Please make me understand. More importantly, why did you sacrifice your only son for me? I believe I know the answer. It was so I could be free.
Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you. Tyneise, are you ready?
I am. All right. So once again, I am Tyneise Seaborough, and I am the owner of Seaborough Enterprises Publishing. And today, I just want to talk a little bit about one of my newest releases. It's called Journal for the Infertile Woman, Wombs Coming Alive Through the Word of God. And I am such a really quiet and shy person. It really sort of takes the leading and the prompting of the Lord to actually get me to write a book like this, because it deals with a topic that a lot of women sort of suffer in silence. They deal with the shame and they don't talk about it. And like for me and my husband, it took us 14 months to be able to conceive, and we were super excited about it. We finally had a positive pregnancy test, and to be able to witness that heartbeat for the first time at the doctor's office was everything. And within 8 weeks, the heartbeat was gone, and we were devastated. And so the Lord began to really deal with me about writing this book, and I was like, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. I don't want to share this story. But I decided that I would be obedient, and I would go ahead and write this book. And so it's not just like your average journal, even though it is full of pages for people to write in. But it's also, I just call it a book within a book, you know. And so it deals with so many areas. So we, of course, it's full of scriptures. It has a section called Tips to Nourish Your Eggs, dealing with inspirational stories, of course, declarations. Of course, there's going to be prayers in here as well, emotional check-ins, how you doing today, coming up with a stress management plan, and then also a link to a page where I have prayed over women before on one of my ministry pages. And so I'm really excited about this book because it really deals with the reviews that I get about this book is that it really brought healing to hearts. And for those who really know me know that I actually have like a gift of healing that I really flow in. And typically when the Lord deals with me, it shows up as fire in my body. And while I was writing this book, I felt the fire of God all in my chest area, and I knew that he was releasing a healing for hearts. And that was the testimony that I heard repeatedly from women. I wish I had this book years ago when I was dealing with this, to women who had suffered stillbirth, to women who were just struggling with conception, and people who had endured these various types of situations years ago said it still brought healing to their heart. And so, and I knew that's exactly what I felt when I was writing the book, when I felt the fire of the Lord all in my chest area. And so I am glad that I chose to be obedient to write this book. And I'm just going to share just a few, because I said that one of the areas in here that I talk a lot about is nourishing your egg. This book is research heavy, okay? And I'm just going to read like 2 sections in here about nourish your eggs. It says zinc is the most widely studied fertility-boosting nutrient for both men and women. It is an essential component of genetic material, and a deficiency can lead to reduced fertility, hormone imbalance, and increased risk of miscarriage. Another one that I would like to read is about the link between stress and fertility, and this is why this book deals with the area of having a stress management plan. Several recent studies have found links between the woman's level of day-to-day stress and lowered chances of pregnancy. For example, women whose saliva had high levels of alpha amylase, an enzyme that marks stress, took 29% longer to get pregnant compared to those who had less. And one more that I want to bring up in here, and it says, in another prospective cohort study of 3,628 women planning to become pregnant, women who reported consuming 3 or more servings of soda per day had a 52% lower rate of pregnancy compared to women who did not report any soda consumption, according to the Front Public Health Journal. And so I have been writing for, I want to say, about 15 years. And the only reason I wrote that book is because I was in a very low place in my life, and I had a desire to write a book. I had no platform. I didn't know anything about selling a book, marketing, none of that. Okay, I just had a desire. and I wrote this book. And it's just been over the course of years that, but pretty much by word of mouth, that I started getting people who were asking me about who published your book. And the Lord just began to open up doors, and then out of that sort of became a publishing company. So this is just something that I do. I help people with book strategy sessions of being able to write their book. And LaShaunda and I were just talking right before this podcast about we just had this opportunity to launch our first summit, and we're super excited about it. I can't even wait until the one that's coming next year. But yeah, that's why I got into writing. I got into writing, which is the reason that a lot of people do. Either they felt that they had a story to share, or they found themselves in a very low place, a very challenging time in their life, and decided that they wanted to share their story. And that's where I was. I had just graduated from college, and within a year, I totally lost everything. I went from living the life to losing everything within a year. And the reason behind that is because my entire life, as long as I can remember, I've always struggled with taking tests. And so here I was, just graduated from school as an occupational therapist, and the state of Virginia allows you to come and practice on a temporary license for a year. And I had been studying, and I went to take this boards exam, and I failed it by a few points. And I was devastated because even though now I've went to school, I've attained a degree, I've had a year experience, I no longer could practice in my field, and I had to pack up from Virginia and go back home to live with my parents because nobody would hire me because I used to make a lot of money and I was overqualified. And so I came back home to live with my parents. It took me 3 times to pass that test. 3 times later, $1,500 before I could pass that test to go back to practice in my field. And so this is where I am, and this is like, you know, the main reason that we see a lot of people, they have dreams and desires to write a book because they want to share their story, and that's exactly where I was. I was in a low place in my life, okay? I'm the author of like 5 books, and I love writing books, and I love helping people write books. And I think that's all I have to share, LaShaunda.
That was some good stuff to share. You know, I think that I have a question for you, but I want to talk about how your book opened doors for you. One of them was becoming a publisher. You published your own book, but I don't think you probably thought about publishing other people's books. How did
Absolutely
you
not.
make that decision that you wanted to be able to help other people publish their books?
I think it started off with where I found myself at the first time when I first published a book. I couldn't figure out how to sell it. And that sort of put me on this journey, a quest to try to figure out how to help people sell more books, because when you look at the stats, it's not really good that the average self-published author, first-time author, only sells about 250 copies of that book in its entire lifetime. I was one of those statistics. I had no platform. All I had was a desire, you know? And so sometimes you find authors in the same position. They have a story, they want to tell it. They don't have the platform yet, or they get the book written, and then it's like, okay, well, how do I sell this book? And that's exactly where I was. And this is pretty much what sort of really put me on this journey that really help authors not only be able to tell their story, but help trying to give them the strategies in their hand to be able to sell more books and really begin to open up doors for them. And so, yeah, that's exactly what happened. It opened up the doors for me to be a publisher, but then at the same time, every time, of course, I publish a new book, it opened up doors for me to be on other platforms. And typically right now, what I've been doing more than anything is really being guests on people's podcasts.
And that introduces you to more people. A lot of people don't realize that they sleep on the podcast, but they introduce you. Now you're getting introduced to my community. There might be someone in my community who has the desire to write a book, and now they have a person they can talk to about it. I know for me, I had to decide if I wanted to be a publisher or did I want to help people promote their books. And I realized that my passion was the selling part, trying to get you to, because a lot of people, they publish a book and then they don't think about what happens after you publish it. And so that's where I came into. That's how I got the book promotion strategy sign put up, because I know so many people who have these wonderful books, but they weren't doing nothing else with it. They're, oh, I don't have time to promote it, or I don't know what to do, or like you said, I don't have the platform. You build your platform. You just don't come out with a platform.
Right.
You know, you're not Oprah Winfrey, who already got one. You know.
Okay.
A lot of people miss that. They think that they're supposed to know how to promote a book. They're supposed to know how to sell a book. They're supposed to already have a platform. They don't realize that you start with one. Everybody starts with one. You don't start with 500. You don't start with 1,000. You start with one, and then you build yourself up to that. Even though I had a platform with my magazine, that wasn't my readership. My magazine was for readers. My platform is for authors, and so I had to build that. It didn't just, people, oh, you got all the people, you know all the people. No. No, I know a lot of readers, but they didn't need a book about promotion. I needed to go find my audience, and I knew that, so I was prepared what I need to do. Who podcast can I get on? Whose magazine can I get in? Whose radio show can I go to? You got to have a plan, and a lot of people miss that too. They miss the planning altogether.
Absolutely.
I'm always pitching email list, plan, and implement. Because you have all this, and you don't do nothing, then you get nothing. I was in a room in Clubhouse today, and the lady said she sold 11,000 books last year during the pandemic. And now, do you know how many people told me they couldn't sell books during the pandemic? How many people slept on selling? The pandemic was your best time to sell books because everybody was at home. Everybody was reading. And you know what? They didn't even have a problem buying a book from your website because they wanted something to read. And I had so many of my clients tell me, I'll just wait till 2021. Now they're hearing, I just wait till 2022. Why?
Right.
Why are you waiting? 2020 was my best year of selling books. My book hit number 8 on the best-selling list. My book been out since 2015. What? I was like, what? Who are these people? What? People I've been talking to for a long time bought my book. They're like, you know what? I didn't buy your book when it came out. I got it now. I'm doing this. I'm doing that, And I tell people all the time, just because your book came out 2 years ago doesn't mean somebody doesn't need it in 2021.
Right. Right.
And so I think a lot of people miss that. They think that, oh, I released it, I'm done. You're not done. The work begins.
Okay.
Don't think it stopped. I'm still selling books. It's 2015. This is 2021. I just mailed out some books last week. I was like, man, I went to the post office. All right.
I love it.
Don't sleep on your books because you think it's, nobody don't want it no more. Somebody needs that book in their life right now in 2021. They really do. So my question for you guys is, what has surprised you most about being a published author?
Let's see.
What has surprised me the most? Well, I think for me, the response has been very, very, very good. Sometimes you don't think that you have anything to say or anybody's listening, and then you find out that what you said has changed someone's life. Mostly I post on Facebook, and I post words of encouragement and words of wisdom. Been doing that for years. And it's that one person that'll say, I may not say anything, but don't stop doing what you're doing. Because sometimes you're like, okay, well, I don't think anybody's reading this or anybody even cares. And when I came out, because the poem I read was from my first book. My current book is a prayer book. My prayer is Whispers and Wisdom for the Heart. That's my current book. That came out this March. And people have received this book very well as they did the first one. The first time, just I really didn't know about the marketing, which is critical. And now this time I'm taking a different approach, and I ended up being my publisher's bestseller from through Amazon. And when she told me that, I was like, oh my gosh, because I didn't know. And you just never know how you touch people with the words that you say, and always thinking that you're not really saying anything, and you really are.
Yeah, I'm just going to sort of piggyback off that as well as share a little testimony here, because like when you really step out and be obedient to like the leading of the Lord when He gives you these promptings and these ideas to write this book, and you never know the lives that are going to be transformed by your book. And it's something about you being vulnerable before people, and people begin to realize that you're very relatable. And so, like I said, for me, I didn't want to write this book because I didn't want to talk about my story. But think about the millions of people who sit back and they suffer in silence as a result of the miscarriages that they're dealing with. I'm in Clubhouse every Friday morning praying over couples who want to conceive and have babies. I heard a woman the other week in the room who said they've been trying for 11 years. And I'm telling you, the more and more I do this, it sort of breaks me when I think about people who get married and they're struggling being able to conceive. And but I can relate to that. And for me, between this book to being able to help authors to sharing my story, what it does is it lets people know that if God can do this for her, He can do it for me. And so now a lot of times it seems like my situations are maybe slightly extreme and whatnot because I have so many types of supernatural encounters with God. And so when I really sort of share my story and they find out that from the time that we had developed the cyst, I had developed the cyst on my left ovary after that miscarriage, the Lord gave me one word, and when I spoke to it, it fell out within 8 hours. After that, the Lord then visits me in the bedroom. After 4 months, we decide, okay, I think we're ready to try again. He visits me in the bedroom. After being intimate with my husband, the Lord says, lie back down. And the fire of God moved across my abdomen area. And I knew at that moment He helped us to conceive. And just like that, we went on to have a full-term pregnancy. And so for me, it's when God gives you these types of testimonies and stories and He tells you to put them in a book, and then they allow you now to begin to open up the door to begin to reach other people who experience various types of situations with you. It's nice when you can just sort of pull the curtains back and say, I know exactly how you feel. Because this pregnancy journey can be an emotional roller coaster, I'm just going to tell you. And so for me, there are so many destinies that are at stake. And we just have to step out and really write the book and be obedient because there are people who need what we have to offer them because of the hope that God wants to release to them. That's all I got.
That was good. That was good.
Yeah.
I have to tell myself that all the time that somebody needs what you were writing, LaShaunda. You just got to put it out there, and I think that sometimes we forget that. That's why we're writing, because we want to help someone. We want to encourage someone, and and putting it out there. And then when you're talking about a difficult subject, like I talk about grief, and most times those people, they need the book, but they're not ready to receive the book, and so you got to get past that because it's a topic they don't want to talk about. Don't nobody want to talk about that they lost their child.
Right.
They don't want to hear about you and you went through it, but you succeeded into having a child, but when you're talking about it and you're empathizing with them, they realize, you know what, I need that book in my life right now. I need to hear her words of encouragement and know what she did to get through this, because I feel so alone. I feel like this is nobody understands why I can't get out the bed today, but she gets it, you know. And so those are the books that, you know, that touch people. You didn't know they're gonna touch people. You just followed what God said do, and you did it, you know. And so it's words like that inspire others, you know. And hopefully somebody's listening to this podcast and they know somebody who had a miscarriage, and they're like, you know what, I'm gonna get this book for my friend, you know. And when she's ready to read it, she'll read it, you know. All right, so what are your favorite ways to meet new readers? How do you guys meet new
readers?
Good question. For me right now, it's on social media right now.
Yeah,
so,
that's what I was gonna say.
I'm gonna say it's the podcast. It's in Clubhouse. It's on my Facebook or Instagram. From various relationships that I have, and people begin to purchase the book, hand it over to their friends, or you know, somebody have shared your post, and then people connected with you by purchasing your book. Yeah, and then it just creates new readers and new relationships being formed.
I like that. Yeah. So many people think that they like I said, we were talking about promoting in this time frame right now. This time frame has taught you how to pivot, how to be a better promoter, because if you were doing all your promotion offline, you had to get on social media to try to reach new people. For me, I decided I wanted to get on Clubhouse because that was a different platform and I can meet new people. And I tell people all the time, I meet somebody new every day on Clubhouse. I love that because on social media, you basically see the same people that you already know. But
very true.
On Facebook, I say Facebook. I'm on TikTok now, and I'm on Clubhouse. And both of them introduce me to new people every day. I love that. I love that TikTok has For You. It's a For You section, and they're showing you different people that, you know, it's like, oh, who is that? What are they doing? And how are they using TikTok for promoting? You know, and I love that. And in the same way with Clubhouse, I host a room every day, and every day somebody new comes in there that has never been to the Purple Table. They come in and they talk, and I had somebody the other day, she's like, I was just sitting down in the audience, and she said, but you guys were having so much fun, I had to come up to the stage. You know, I'm like, yeah, we love to laugh in this room. That's one of the big things about my room. I want to make sure we're laughing because you have such rough days sometimes. Right now it's really hard. You know, I've had so many family members that's passed from this, you know, and then I heard yesterday that Colin Powell died from complications.
Oh, yeah.
COVID is just horrible. So if I can find sunshine in this horribleness, I love that, and that's what I love about Clubhouse. I know I talk about Clubhouse every time I'm on this podcast, but I love it. I'm sorry.
No, and, you know, I just got on Clubhouse because I'm an Android person, so someone sent me an invite a few days ago. I have not really ventured off into it, but I will say that I picked up people on Instagram. Most of the people on Instagram, I don't even know them at all. And
follow you right to Instagram from Clubhouse.
I love Instagram. In fact, I prefer it to Facebook because Facebook you gotta go through all the feeds to get to what you really want to see, and a lot of times because I have like almost 5,000 friends, and I'm told that only 250 may see what you post. So with that. Right. But I think Instagram actually works better for me than Facebook.
And I believe that you need to find your platform. Everybody has a different platform, and when people are like, oh, I don't want to be, you need to. For me, I find the fun stuff. I like to do fun promotion. I don't want the rigid stuff that makes me feel overwhelmed. And, oh, I can't do it. You know, that's why I love about podcasts, because I'm a talker, so I want to be on something I can talk. You know, and I think that's what brought me to Clubhouses, because I was actually talking to people. Sometimes on Facebook you'll post something and you get crickets for days.
Right.
Yeah.
Did anybody want to say hi to me? I have a Facebook group, and I've posted 3 things in there this week. And I mean crickets. Nothing.
Wow.
My group used to be super active, and they've changed the algorithm in the groups, and I hate it. So nobody sees your posts anymore. And it's horrible because if you have an active group, and then all of a sudden you go back down to my group feels like I have 3 people in there versus 900. And it's like,
wow.
What in the world? You know, and you have no say over it at all. And what I love about Clubhouse is I say on who comes into the room, but it's open. So if you want to, you can. You know, and so, and I'm, you know, people are like, oh, I want a huge room. I like the smaller, intimate rooms because you have better conversations. And you got 500 people in the room, you're not really having intimate conversations, you know. And so you just have to, I always say, find the platforms that you feel comfortable with and use them to your best ability, because you can make connections on any of these platforms. But if you're not using them right, if you're just on there once a year, it's not going to work. So, yeah.
Yeah, Clubhouse is really growing on me. You know, for me, I've never been really a person that loved to go live and just do a lot of videos anyway. So audio for me was like, so podcasting or Clubhouse is perfect for me. And so I host 2 on Fridays, Friday morning and then 1 in the evening for those who identify as introverts. And so we just cover a variety of topics. But I do my best to try to pop in at least once a day in different rooms that I'm a part of. And I popped in one like 2 days ago or so, and that has connected me with 2 really great people that we're actually working on. I had some collaborations today with both of them, and I'm super excited about what we're working on and some future projects. So I definitely see that it's working in my favor. So right now, Clubhouse is like one of my go-to. I love Clubhouse, and then I would say Instagram would be my second favorite.
Well, my favorite used to be Facebook. I love me some Facebook. But I got on Clubhouse, and like you, I have made so many connections. I've done 2 summits because of Clubhouse. I'm doing one next week. I was invited to a conference, an actual live conference, and it was the same time that my grandson was going to be born, so I told him I couldn't do the live. But he's like, can you do virtual? Hey, let's do virtual. And so it was an amazing experience, and that was because somebody pinged me into a room. She pinged me into a room, and she's like, I think you should meet LaShaunda. And I was like, okay.
Awesome.
And so that started a whole, networking with him, and I've been in a couple of other rooms. I reconnected with a young lady who was doing billboards, and I got my first billboard in my hometown. So,
yay!
Different connections because of Clubhouse. So I've had amazing times, and I wanted to tell Necci that there is a huge poetry community there. If you're into, you want to meet other poets, people host rooms and they do their, read their poetry. You come up to the stage and read and stuff. And so I would definitely recommend to go into your hallways and see what rooms are available. And if you don't see anything that you like, then create your own, because that's what I did. Yeah. I wanted to be Jada Pinkins. She had a red table, so I decided to host a purple table.
Okay, what color is your table?
Purple. It's purple to the table at 5 p.m. Eastern every day, Tuesday through Friday, and we talk about anything that you want to talk about at the purple table. You don't never know what you're going to get.
Oh, my goodness.
I made the commitment that I wanted to be consistent. And people kept telling me, you need to do videos every day, but I just don't feel every day like doing a video.
Tell me about it.
And so
I understand. I totally understand.
Working from home, some days I'll be looking presentable, and some days I don't. Don't nobody know that on Clubhouse because they can't see me.
Right.
I do my 5 Eastern every day. Last week I decided that I was going to take Monday off because I needed an off. I didn't have an off day, so I took Monday off. And then this Saturday I hosted a room about TV and TV and movies. We talked about the Squid Game because all of us watched the Squid Game, and so we wanted to talk about that. And we did a 2-hour room on the Squid Game. And so I said,
oh my gosh.
Every other Saturday host a room about the TV shows or movies because that's one of my favorite subjects. And so, we had such a fun time. And that's what I love about it. Like I said, I'm about having fun. And if I can sell some books while I'm doing it, okay, let's do it.
Right.
So that's what I tell my clients, find the fun stuff because when it's fun, you will do it. You will do it over and over again. When it's boring or when it's time consuming or when it's horrible and you are scared to death to do it, you're not gonna do it. So do the fun stuff. Definitely find you some fun rooms, Necci. You will be like, okay, LaShaunda and Tyneise was talking about these rooms, and I need to find me some.
I need to find some. Right.
Great.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check it. out.
I will suggest a room to you just to give you a feel, but these guys, they're called the Bearded Men, and they read songs to you. So you go in there, select a song, your favorite song. They did Prince, I Will Die For You.
My goodness.
My favorite John Legend song is Tonight. And he started saying the words. I'm like, oh, I know that song. Why I know that song? And then I was like, oh my God, that's Tonight. But these guys have the best voices ever, and they say different things. So you might get slip in one of your poems and have them read for you or something. But it's a really fun room just to relax in the evening on. So if you try them out, they're really cool guys. They're really cool rooms. And I went into a room where the dude was just playing meditation music. Put me right on the sleep.
Yeah.
So it's so amazing the different ideas that people come up with to create a room.
So he didn't have no conversation at all?
No, all he was playing was it was a relaxing room It was a good night room.
Wow.
And he just played, and I had woke up, it was like 2 a.m, and I was like, what is they, I'm nosy. What they doing on Clubhouse? It's 2. I can't go back to sleep. And I went into this other room, and they were playing Tektronix songs. So it was beat, 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 beat. I was like, no, I'm trying to go back to sleep. And I found that it was a good night room, and it was meditation music. And it soothed me so that I just went on back to sleep. I was like, oh, I love that. And I found out he does it all day long because I saw it this morning was on there. And I was like, oh, he must get in this room and do this all day and just play soothing music all day long. But you can do that too. It's up to you what you want to share on there. But the one thing I say about creating rooms is that people expect to see it again. So, you want to make sure something.
So you got to show up. You got it.
Yeah.
With it, you want to be able to do. Because I thought I was going to do a room about promotion, and I kept trying to do promotion. But because of my schedule, I wasn't getting the people to come into that because of the schedule that I was doing at first. And then I took it down a little lower, and then somebody said, you know what? You should just do this break room. We all need a break. And I was like, you know what? Okay. And then, of course, if somebody wants to ask questions about promotion, they'll come in there. LaShaunda, I got questions. And, I answer their questions, Or somebody might come in there just sharing some stuff about, we had somebody come in and tell us about the Kindle Vella, and I that's how I got into the Kindle, because somebody was talking about it. So, you don't never know. All right, so I have one last question for you, ladies. What would you say to a writer who wants to give up?
Don't.
Oh, man.
Do not give up. It's so many times that I wanted to throw in the towel. It was so many times because when God gives you something and you don't think, not God, when you don't think you have anything to say, and it becomes overwhelming. And for me it did anyway. But I would say keep going, because I'm telling you, I had moved to Texas, and I was going to shut the whole thing down. And I remember someone saying to me, but isn't that your gift? And it was like, yeah. It was like that person saying that to me brought it all back, because I was done. I was done writing. I was done framing poetry. I was just completely done. And when God gave me the prayer book, it kind of sparked that passion that I had lost, because I actually did lose it. And believe it or not, even when I had lost the passion, I kept writing. I kept writing and writing and writing. I have amassed so many poems I can't even count. So even during that season, I still was just going, any time the Lord would drop something into me, I would just write, and I just keep on writing. Even though I was going to give up, I never stopped. Like I said, I never stopped writing. And even with My Prayer Is, the book that's out right now, I was on Facebook, and I would start writing prayers, and then I asked my Facebook friends, I said, if I put all this in a book, would you buy it? And they told me, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's what started the My Prayer Is, because I wasn't even going to write a prayer book. My next book was going to be another book of poems that I had already finished maybe about 3-4 years ago. So you just never give up. That's the bottom line. You just keep going, no matter what season you're going through. Just push through. And now I'm excited again. Now, I'm like, okay, what's my next project? And now this Sunday, I'm doing my first pop-up, and I am so excited because I did my frames and I wrote new stuff. I have new material, and it's just amazing. So I would say to anybody that's writing that wants to give up, just don't.
I love you said that, and I love that your readers encourage you to try something different. Sometimes I have a client, she started with one book. Now she has 10 books in this series. But when she first wrote the first book, she didn't realize it was going to be a series. Her readers encouraged it. And so sometimes you listen to the readers, they'll bring out stuff out of you didn't even know you had. So I think that's great, especially a book of prayers. That's deep right there. That, I mean, thinking about, oh my goodness, that is so amazing. But I'm just amazed by people who write poetry. My sister writes poetry, and she didn't know she wrote. I'm a writer, and my younger sister likes to write, but my middle sister has never written anything, and she didn't think she could write. And one day she wrote a poem. It just came to her, and so I've been encouraging her to write more and more poems. I got her to get into we did a grief anthology this year, and I was able to convince her to be a part of the anthology, so she submitted a poem for that. But I've been working on her, and she's like, well, I think this is going to be the time I become a publisher, Tyneise, is for her.
Okay.
Her and my cousin both have said, you're going to publish my book. And I'm like, really? And they're like, yes, you are. And so I'm like, okay. So I'm going to have to buy me a block of ISBNs for them.
ISBNs, yeah.
And I think that poetry is just, it just flows. Because I've never tried writing poetry. I've never tried it, so I don't even know. I can't say, I don't know how to write poetry. I might not. I've never tried. I was listening to your poem, and I was like, man, that was so deep. And can I be that deep?
but you know what? Even with this the poetry journey, because I didn't write poetry either. Now, I didn't write poetry either. That's the thing, because let me tell you, my former career in law enforcement, we used to group of a couple of ladies. We had this prayer closet we would go into, and this other young lady had asked me to write a poem for her because she saw a poem that I had wrote for somebody who had passed, and it was in the obituary. Mm-hmm. And she asked me somebody had passed in her family, and she asked me would I write her a poem. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I don't write poetry, but okay. And I ended up writing these poems, and I said, well, I'm going to take it to work, and I'm going to ask them, do they like it? Did it move them? And when I read the poem, one of my prayer partners told me, she said, oh, Necci, she said, you have to put it on the tablet for the world to see. And I was like, yeah, okay. Because I did not write poetry. This was something that was definitely born out of God. Because I'm telling you, I could write reports like I did at work or my school papers and all of that, but poetry was not on my agenda at all. So
much like my sister. That was the way she did. She wrote a poem for my dad when he passed, and so she got up and she read it. And when she was done, we sat down and everybody came over to her. LaShaunda, that was so beautiful, that poem you read. Stephanie, you did a good job reading LaShaunda's poem. I'm like, that was not my poem. They're like, what? I'm like, my sister wrote that poem. They did not believe. They thought because I'm the writer in the family that I wrote the poem, and she just had the courage to read it. I'm like, no, that was her poem, and she put so much of my dad in that poem that it was so beautiful, and and then now she's like, I think I'm gonna be the person that does the poem at the funeral. I said, yes, you are.
Yeah. So you
definitely going to get up and say a poem today, so she just fell into it. And so now she's been writing, she's been writing a whole bunch of stuff, but I just think, like you said, it's a God thing. I know God sent it to her because she didn't go pick it up herself.
No, I take no credit. None. Absolutely not 1 ounce, because if it wasn't for him guiding me and directing me, mm-hmm. No, I would not have ever put a poem to paper other than a school assignment or an obituary, but never in a million years I thought that it would turn out to be a book and frame poetry. I never thought that.
That's amazing.
Wow.
I love that. Did you want to say anything, Tyneise?
Yeah, I'll jump in here. For the person who may be contemplating quitting, my question would be to you, what's your why? why did you get started in the first place with writing books? I want you to go back to that and think about that. Because if you were inspired to do this, you had a story that you wanted to get out to the world, you wanted to inspire, you wanted to encourage, you wanted to empower, you wanted to uplift, whatever that reason was, go back and revisit that. And just understand that everybody, I believe everybody in life has been in that place. Think about any famous celebrity. Think about the life of an entrepreneur. We have ups and downs. Oh, we win in one moment. Then it's like, man, shit, I'm about to throw in the towel. And then it seems like, oh, my gosh, I'm gaining a little bit of traction here. Oh, my goodness, I got a few sales here. Okay, I'm feeling encouraged. Let me continue with this. And then you're back at another low here. I don't know anybody who has been on a journey trying to get to their destiny or a place that they're trying to get to, and they haven't considered throwing in the towel. I'm reminded of people like Steve Harvey and Tyler Perry and Oprah and the things that they've had to endure to get to where they are in life. And so my question to you is, go back to your why and think about the people that are waiting on you. You may actually be a lifeline for them. And as a result of that, that's why you got to keep going. I hope that inspires you to keep moving in the right direction, and keep writing.
That's good. That's good. I had to write my why down, because that why is what keeps me motivated. And I also had to learn that there is a season for everyone. You know, sometimes you see your friend sliding up that hill and going on back down and doing what they got to do, and you're still trucking, trying to get to the top, you know. And it took me a while for that one. Was a hard lesson for me, because I got out the Navy when I was 25, and I said, I'm going to be serious about my writing. I'm going to sign up for this different thing. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And I should be published probably by 30. And 30 hit. Then 40 hit. I was like, instead of what I thought my writing journey was going to be, it turned into a different path. I went into the nonfiction versus the fiction. And I was like, wow. But I'm thankful for the path that I went down, because it built me up. It showed me that I could sell books, because that was one of my biggest fears, was nobody was going to buy my book. Ain't nobody buying my book. And every now and then when I said it in my head about, ain't nobody going to buy that fiction book, I'm like, you sold them nonfiction. Why wouldn't they buy fiction? You know?
Right, absolutely.
Right.
I have to tell myself that over and over again, and that why is it. That why is so important. You write it down. Put it on a sticky note, because some days you have some days where you go, dang, 25 to 40 is a long time.
Okay.
It was 48, not 40. It was 48 before I saw the dream that I had been dreaming. And I'm gonna put it real out here now for you. I was 9, not 25. 25 is when I said I was gonna start being a serious writer. But at 9, I dreamed of seeing my books in the library. That was my dream.
I love it.
Oh, wow.
I wanted to be in the library, because that's where I got my books from. I didn't go to the bookstores at 9. I went to the library, and I picked up 10 or 15 books. And I was like, one day, and I would go to the place where my last name at that time was Caruth. I would go to the C's, and I would say, this is where my book is going to be, right here under the sea. You know, and that dream was a long dream. When my book was in the library in St. Louis, I didn't see it on the shelf because it's in the reference section, so you don't get to go in the reference section too much. But I saw it on the screen, and it said my name. I cried like a baby, because my dream had made it. I saw the printed book, but it was in the library, you know. And so I encourage anybody that, you know, I'm always giving up every other week, so I understand. It's just that thing, but you keep pushing forward for that.
Yeah.
Because believe me, holding your book is the most amazing experience ever. And sometimes when I feel bad, I'm trying to finish these fiction books. I go, but you published. You're published, little girl. You're published. You can do this. So I'll just say that to you. Be encouraged. Know that your season is coming, and you better be ready, ready, ready. That's all I got to say.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. You have to be ready. But I'd like to ask a favor, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I read something from my new book?
Yes, please do. Go ahead. Tell us the title and read us the excerpt, please.
This is from My Prayer Is, Whispers and Wisdoms from the Heart. And this is called The Prayer of Love. And it goes like this. Heavenly Father, I embrace who I am and refuse to see beauty through the world's lens. You alone are the Creator, and I love you dearly. With expectation in my heart, I will follow righteousness' path in obedience to your word. Your glory forever reigns. I pray that wisdom, favor, peace, joy, mercy, and love operate in my life at full throttle without any malfunction. On my journey, I pray that your spirit rests upon me always. Your presence is welcome wherever my feet tread. I declare prosperity to flow like a never-ending river. Abba, I pray for protection from the enemy's snares as you render him ineffective over me. I walk in victory every day. Salvation is in my house forever. Amen.
Man, that was beautiful.
Amen.
Wow, and you have a whole book of prayers like that? That is amazing.
Well, the prayer book, that's the one that I wrote for everyone, and all of them are for everyone. Let me back that up. but the other ones are short prayers, and what God had told me was sometimes you just need a few words to get you through. And so they ended up being, short prayers. But that was my longer prayer that I ended the book. It's the last prayer of the book.
Okay. That's some deep stuff right there. Thank you for sharing that, Necci. I appreciate that.
Oh,
all right. We have
you're
come
welcome.
to the end, ladies. Can y'all believe that? This has been a great conversation. I've enjoyed it.
It sure has.
Yeah, me too. I have enjoyed it tremendously.
Great. I would like to thank Necci and Tyneise for being my guest today. Please tell the listeners how they can contact you online.
You can contact me on Facebook, author Necci Heaton Cooper. I'm also on Twitter, Necci Heaton Cooper, and Instagram, Necci Heaton Cooper, and also my website, oneangelcreative.com, or Necci Heaton Cooper, or myprayeristhebook.com.
All right. So, Necci threw a lot of stuff out there. I'm trying to keep this simple here. Let me see here. Simplified here. Let's see. The easiest way is on Instagram, SE Publishing, because Tyneise is sort of hard to spell as well as the last name, right? SE Publishing on Instagram. If you want to find me on Facebook, it is Tyneise. That's Tyneise. Last name is Seaborough. It's Seabo, and Rough, Seaborough, right? Seaborough. So you can find me there on Facebook if you're looking for me. And, of course, our website is just SeaboroughEnterprisesPublishing.com. All right. Okay. I'm looking forward to connecting with some of you. That would be great.
I hope what I
look forward to it. Yeah.
I hope what I guest shared today was helpful for you. I want to thank our sponsor, Building Your Readership by LaShaunda Hoffman. Check the show notes for the links to purchase. I want to thank our listeners, for taking time to listen to the podcast. I have 3 questions for you. Did you learn something from this episode? If you did, please share the podcast with your community. Number 2, would you like to be a guest for an episode? Contact me at onestormeg@gmail.com. One last question, have you promoted your book or business today? If you haven't, go showcase those wings. Someone needs what you have to offer. This is LaShaunda Hoffman, and I will see you on the next.